Hello, hello. It is day 6 postpartum, I believe. Tomorrow's 1 week postpartum. It's crazy. I can't believe it's already been a week. I can, but I can't because it does feel like we've had her for, you know, a good amount of time. We just finished a nursing session. My husband went to go do a Target drive up with my son. He is pretty much always with my son and I'm always with the baby, and I'm with both of them. But I had like a moment this morning where I broke down because hormones, but also because since I've been home, I can't pick up my son. I can't do things with my son that my son is used to. I can't put him to bed, which my son is used to. And that has been very, very, very difficult for me personally. And my son is my world, you guys know that. And I know that this is just a temporary thing. I am just really, really sad about that. Like, it's really hard because number one, I feel like as soon as she was born and I saw them together, it aged him. It made him older and it made him more of a big boy. And he's always just been mommy's little baby, mommy's little boy. And he's always favored my husband the last, well, like, he goes back and forth, but like my husband is like his everything. And that's great. That's how it's been for months. During pregnancy, I was really like unable to do a lot. Now I'm obviously even more unable to do stuff. And so I think during all these times, my son really was able to bond a lot with my husband, which is, I mean, awesome. I don't know if it was yesterday or this morning, but there was a moment where my son asked me to pick him up and I was like, baby, I can't pick you up, but I'll sit down and, you know, you can come into my lap and I'll sit with you. But when I said the words, I can't pick you up, he looked at me like, what do you mean you can't pick me up? And just had like the most pitiful face. And I just cried. I'm like so upset over that because I could see where it affects him because he doesn't understand why mommy can't pick him up. He doesn't understand why mommy and daddy were gone for a few days and all of a sudden we come back with another little human being. And so you can just see the confusion in him. He has, like, today he was way better, but like he has been acting out the last couple of days just out of confusion. And I think it's mostly because we were gone. And now it's like he knows, oh wow, mom and dad can leave without me. It really, really broke my heart to see that type of expression on his face. And then, you know, since I've been home, it was at the beginning I had to tell my husband to stop doing this because my husband was so afraid of my son like hurting me and hurting my incision that my husband was always like, no. Anytime my son would like try and play with me or climb on me or anything, like my husband was always the one to say no. And I was like, no, let me do it because I can give him more of an example as to why he can't, you know, something to get him to understand it's not because I don't want him there. That's like my first little bit of advice, is just make sure that your older one, if you do have a cesarean or even vaginal, I'm not sure how it goes with that, but if you do have a cesarean, just make sure that you make it very clear with your older one, this is temporary, just like, oh no, I can't do that today, or just something. Like, it's hard to kind of communicate with a 1-year-old, but I think he's starting to get it. I think he understands, okay, mommy just doesn't feel good. So yeah, I had like a little breakdown with that. I had a breakdown because my son would not come, he didn't want to come sit next to me, which isn't totally out of the norm because like I said, he started getting into that even before my daughter was born. So that's just been him. He just prefers to be with my husband, and I think it's because my husband spoils him more as far as the holding thing. Whenever it's just been my son and I, and my husband's at work or whatever, I don't pick him up as much as my husband does. Number one, I was pregnant and couldn't hold him as much, so he just became used to that, and so he didn't always ask me to pick him up. He knew I was not going to do it, so he just didn't ask. Whereas for my husband, he asks him all day long to pick him up. He does associate my husband with a little bit more of the spoiling as far as that goes. I don't know, I had a moment, so we all just kind of like group hugged and reconnected and just made sure that, you know, I'm just doing everything I can to let my son know, like, it's still me, it's still mommy, I'm still here for you, you know, you're still my entire world, I still am here for absolutely everything, but we do need to now include your sister in this type of stuff. So he's been doing really great overall. Like I said, today was probably the best day. I think the biggest problem and the hardest thing for us is just the fact that we are, you know, on lockdown. There's nothing we can do. We can't go anywhere, and it's been this way now for months. So at this point, my son, even, I believe this would be going on even if I didn't have my daughter, I just believe he's just getting so stir crazy. He's just getting cooped up. We're in the house. We don't have anything we can do. We're having to sit on the couch and watch TV and literally do nothing. We don't really get into a lot of projects because my son was always like hands-on with everything. And then of course now I have the baby, so I can't get into a lot of projects just yet. But there's just not a lot of stuff that gets to go on. We can't have company. Like, he has no one he can play with. Like, it's just too too much being cooped up. And so I feel like that has a lot to do with it. But overall, everything has been so much better than I expected. I thought that it was gonna be really, really, really hard. You guys know I had been talking for months about how nervous and scared I was about the thought of having two. Obviously, it's only been a week, so I know there's gonna be millions of challenges that come up in a lifetime. But for now, it's been a nice transition. One thing I am failing on that I did fail with my son as well is the timing of feeds. My son, it was okay because he always wanted to nurse. He was the type of baby, he would cluster feed. We had a session where we cluster fed for 4 hours straight. Went from one side to the other, and I'm not exaggerating. 4 hours we were in the bedroom cluster feeding. That's a long time. For her, so far, it hasn't, we haven't had that yet. I'm sure it's coming in the next couple of weeks. Still just feel like she's early, she just came too early. I don't know, there's a lot of different feelings that I have about this, and I hope to find answers at my second week appointment or my 6-week appointment or something. I just hope to get answers as to why this happened, because I just almost felt like it was out of my control. I didn't get to have any say in it, and I understand, but that's a whole nother story. I won't get into that. Just really, really weird, but at the same time, wonderful, because she was born on the day I would have wanted her to be born. I just knew she was gonna be born on that day. I knew it. I knew it in my heart. I have known for a while. I just knew that that's when her birthday was gonna be. I just know that that day is gonna be it, and it was, and that's where it's so bizarre. I guess I haven't even really shared her birth story, really, so anyway. I'm trying to give you guys all the information that I can think of now so that it is documented in some way or another. Breastfeeding has been easier than with my son, but I give it to taking medicine because it takes the edge off. It doesn't take the pain away, but it does take the edge off. And so I am taking medicine religiously. I'm not taking it by the hour. I'm pretty much just taking it. As soon as I start telling I'm just starting to get a little bit too uncomfortable, I just go ahead and I take, per usual, I have to finish here. My camera is full. As soon as I just start feeling a little bit uncomfortable, I go ahead and I take it, which is very different than with my son. I never took pain medicine at all, and I can honestly say I am the biggest advocate for take your pain medicine. If you need it and it makes you a better mom and a better human being, take the pain medicine. I'm just taking ibuprofen though, and it's just over-the-counter ibuprofen. So granted, mine's very, very mild medication, but if you need something stronger, take what you are prescribed, and don't be embarrassed by it. Don't think it's you're weak because of it. Everybody's body's gonna react differently. Everybody's surgery is different. Everybody's delivery is different. So you may have something going on that the next woman didn't have going on. Maybe they say that their nipples are hurting and their nipples are cracked and they're going through everything that you say you're going through, but theirs could be completely different, and their pain tolerance can be different, and their sensitivity to breastfeeding in general can be different. And something that I learned is that a lot of moms, it could be your 5th child, your 5th time breastfeeding. I thought this one would be easier in the sense of my boobs know what to expect. No, it doesn't make it easier. Your nipples, I think it's a hormone thing. You have more sensitive and sensitive prone nipples. So you're gonna feel it more postpartum. So you're still gonna feel that pain. Even if you breastfed for as long as I did, you're still gonna feel pain when the next baby comes around. I really believe that she has a good latch. I don't really feel a lot of discomfort. Initial latch sucks, but then it starts to get easier and easier, whereas I didn't really have that with my son. It pretty much was the entire feed really, really sucked. There really wasn't a moment where I felt relief. So I feel like it's normal what I'm feeling now. I feel like this time the pain is the normal pain. Today's the first day that I took medicine, not for my incision, which is awesome, because every time I've had to take medicine, my main reasoning was for my C-section, and then my secondary reason was for my breast. This time I took medicine specifically for my breast. I'm not going to allow myself to get into this deep darkness of pain. I feel like the pain alone from breastfeeding, from the C-section, from delivery in general, being in pain, I feel like is step number 1 into getting into a depression, because you're just so tired of being in pain. So I feel like that's step number 1 to get you into a depression. You have to take care of yourself. It took me pretty much almost 2 years with my son to learn you have to take care of yourself in order to be a good mom, in order to take care of your family. It is very important to think of yourself. But I know it would come to a point where I would just be in so much pain. I'd be so grumpy. I would be taking it out on everyone. I would be crying nonstop. I'd be going back to those really, really hellish days that I had with my son. I'd be going through all of it all over again, and I refuse to do that. Yeah, I'm taking medicine this time. I don't think I've brushed my hair today. I'm like 90% sure I have not. As far as sleep goes, that's what I think I was trying to say. I fail as far as feedings go because with my son, he would feed, but I feel like I just wasn't making the right amount of milk. I don't know what it was. I just don't believe I was making enough. So he was constantly cluster feeding and constantly trying to get more milk. Whereas with her, I do feel like I know I'm making enough with her. She just sleeps so much. With my son slept next to me because I didn't have any pain with the C-section. So getting in and out of bed wasn't a problem. Reaching over and giving him his pacifier wasn't a problem. Thinking about it, I think it was actually a couple weeks before he laid next to me. There was a time where he was further away. I can't remember, but I know that I got up with him. My husband would get up, change him, and then I would get up with him and feed him. But with my son, he would wake up in the middle of the night wanting a feed and like ready for the feed. Whereas with her, when she wakes up a little bit, if you give her a pacifier, she'll be knocked right back out. You wanna watch turds?
Yeah.
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 I love you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love you.
I
I love you. I love you, baby. Hey you guys, I don't know how much of this I'm gonna be able to film. My camera was like dying or whatever. But anyway, hi guys. It is Mother's Day. My little one is 10 days old, 10 days postpartum. And we pretty much have just been chilling today. My parents came over this morning. Basically, we are allowing ourselves to see them and that's it because they've already been here. I'm in the feels today because I'm 10 days postpartum. And when it came to postpartum with my son, I didn't have any pain. And I think I already talked to you guys about it, but I did have pain as far as my C-section went. I had plenty of breastfeeding pain. I really have been beating myself up because I've been needing pain medicine. I've allowed myself to take it, and I've noticed that I am a way better mom this go around. I'm able to actually get things done and be happy. I was very depressed with my son postpartum because I was in so much pain, and it's easy to become depressed when you're exhausted, you're in pain. And so this go around, I've made sure to take care of myself and not put myself first, but make sure that I am taking care of myself, because if I don't do it, you can't have anybody else take care of you. You have to take care of yourself. I've been doing great as far as that goes, but I've really beat myself up that I'm on pain medication because I am breastfeeding, and I don't want, number one, I don't want to be on pain medicine. It's not good for you. It's not good for your stomach. I've been on ibuprofen. That's it. No narcotics or anything like that. Just ibuprofen. But that's still enough for me to be like kind of sad that I'm having to do that. I have no idea where I last talked to you guys or if this is going to line up properly or not, but no clue what I was last saying to you guys. But basically, oh, that's what I was saying. So I've been trying to like kind of wean off the medicine. I don't want to be so dependent on it because the last 10 days I have needed it, or I just am in so much pain. And the thing is like it's like a vicious cycle. You're gonna be in pain and you're gonna cry. You're not gonna be able to heal because you're too busy being in pain and crying, and I feel like the pain brings on more pain, and it's just like this terrible vicious postpartum cycle. The only pain that I have now, like that's pain that I would even classify as excruciating pain still, would be like the original latch, and it's not even excruciating anymore. So we are getting there. I hope I can say this, but like so many times when you breastfeed, everyone's like the first 2 weeks are the worst and then they get better, and everyone used to tell me that with my son, and things did not get better the first 2 weeks. I went through hell for like 3 months, and that's when it started just getting bearable, and then after that it got better and better and better to where by 6 months I finally was nursing comfortably. That's my story with him. Obviously he's a different baby, and being able to compare the two, there are so many things I realized I did wrong with my son as a newborn that I now know with her, and I'm able to correct it with her. So I feel so bad for him, but I feel bad for me too because I could have probably corrected our issue earlier on. I just didn't really know enough. I definitely 100% know that I suffered from vasospasm / blanching. I don't know which one. I think vasospasms with both of them. With her, am experiencing it, and I did with my son. My son was 10 times worse, and nursing was 100 times worse with him, and I can see why. Like, I can compare when you take your nipple out of their mouth, you can see like where they were like biting or chomping or where there was something wrong. It's easy if you look at your nipple to kind of decide like how something went wrong. And the way that they look now versus with my son, like I get the heebie-jeebies thinking of what my son did to my nipples. He did not nurse right at all. And to think of the pain that I went through for so long, like, just makes me want to cry for that girl, because I went through hell. You know, I guess going into it this time, I was thinking like, crap, like I breastfed for so long with my son. And it was so successful after, you know, all the issues. It became successful, and we successfully breastfed and comfortably breastfed forever. And I was like annoyed, like, okay, now I'm starting over and I'm in this pain again. I thought the pain wouldn't be there, but it's there. Just be warned, if you're gonna have another child and you had a wonderful breastfeeding experience the first time, you are still subject to having tenderness when you start up again. I think a lot of it has to do with hormones too, because I just really believe that the whole 2-week situation, I think maybe it takes the baby 2 weeks to, oh, she just pooped. I think it probably takes like the baby 2 weeks to kind of get into the groove, and then also for you to get into the groove, and then also I really believe hormones has something to do with like nipple pain and kind of why the tenderness is where it is. I'm also getting decent sleep, which we did not get very good sleep with my son. He did sleep the same. She sleeps probably a little bit better than my son did, but there's just so many more worries and fears and everything with him, and it was your first baby, and you aren't quite sure how you're supposed to do things. So there's just so many things that make sense now, like why he was so gassy, the fact that he had a bad latch, how he was latching on. I'm sure he has a tongue tie or lip tie or something like that. A nurse told me that she had one, and it was just after seeing her cry or something, she saw like if you see a heart in their tongue, that usually means that they have like a tongue tie. So the nurse had said, yeah, she has a tongue tie, you might have some issues nursing, blah blah blah. And I just kind of wish she didn't even say that, because I almost had in my head like, oh great, I'm gonna have a crappy nursing experience because of that. So like I basically just did a lot of research, how can you do it? And there's nothing online that says like how you can successfully breastfeed if your baby has a tongue tie or lip tie. Like they just immediately tell you you have to do the procedure, and I personally am against it. I do not want the procedure done to any of my children, or I also feel like it's just, it may make the mom feel better. And it also, I understand if the baby's not gaining weight and the baby's not able to draw enough milk out. I just feel like there's other things that you can do to like not do that. But I do know that some ties can affect their speech, it can affect their teeth. I get that. So I understand that there are reasons to have it done, but I just feel like for nursing reasons, I just wouldn't do it. So anyways, the nurse told me that, but I still think she's full of crap. And even if she does have it, we're nursing fine right now. We're doing good, and I feel really happy, and it just has me in the feels. I literally just wanted to cry a little bit ago, because I was nursing without pain medicine in my system. I was nursing comfortably, and that was like, today's the first day of that where I can nurse comfortably. And now I know if I start getting like too sore, just switch positions for a little bit, and it's like your nipples surprisingly heal faster than I gave credit to. The other thing that is a little bit different this time as opposed to my first time is I used lanolin the first time, but I didn't stick to it. I liked more of the oils. I loved, Nook had a spray that had like coconut oil, olive oil, just a bunch of oils in it, and I loved it, but they discontinued it. I guess women didn't use it, but I loved it because it was a spray, so you really didn't touch your nipples a lot, because my nipples were so, like, nothing could touch them without me in excruciating pain. So when it was a spray, I didn't have to touch them that much, and it didn't hurt. So I used lanolin with my son. I had it, I went through the whole bottle, but I didn't stick to it. This time, ever since day one of using it, I have had so much more relief than any other product. I have the bamboo bees or whatever it's called, and I liked that the first time, but even then I didn't find that it did a ton, and even this time I'm not finding it does a ton. The lanolin is definitely by far my favorite this time, and I am putting it on before the shower. I put it on, there was times I was putting it on like a little bit before I fed her. When it came to my son, I always like had heard you need to let them air dry, and I always had them hanging out. And if you have vasospasms or any kind of thing like that, letting them air out is actually like even worse, because your vasospasms just like keep coming and coming and coming and coming. But if you have like them in your bra, it keeps them a lot warmer so that the vasospasms don't come as often. And that's really where a lot of my pain has always been from, both times. The latch on pain and then the vasospasms have just been like terrible. Vaso, however you say it, whatever. I'm just feeling really good. I am still having pain in my C-section. Like, I can enjoy with my son. I was so depressed because even looking at photos of him made my boobs and me hurt so bad. I could not look at photos of my son as a newborn. I couldn't look at photos. I could barely even look at him because I just saw pain. And I think I've told you guys about that. I think I've opened up about that, but like, I saw him as pain. And I've always been very open about that. Whereas this time, at the beginning, yeah, I would look at her and it was like, oh, I don't want to do a feed. I don't want to do a feed because it hurts so bad. It hurts. I don't want to do a feed. But like, now I can look at her and be like, oh, you're hungry? Oh, here we go. And it's like, that is such a special feeling. So if you are struggling, don't listen to the, oh, wait, the 2 weeks. Like, if you are struggling, start trying to fix it before the 2 weeks. See if you can go above and beyond and be better before the 2 weeks. And for me, I didn't want to admit there was a problem. I didn't want to think there was a problem the first time, but definitely there's an issue. And she's not even perfect. Like, right now I'm having a little bit of vasospasms, but they're not as bad because I think we've corrected the latch and the positioning. And also, I feel like when you do your research or when you hear other people give advice, they always are specifically talking about the latch. Whereas this time, and that's what I focused on the entire time with my son, whereas this time I'm focusing more on positioning, on how I am positioned and how I feel in the position versus her and how her latch looks and stuff like that. Like, I solely looked at my son's latch. I didn't think about the position I was sitting in, changing positions. I didn't think about any of that. It was like strictly the latch. So I highly recommend making sure you focus more on the positioning that you're in and the positioning the baby's in. And if you can tell that they're fussy and uncomfortable, and usually if they clamp down and bite down, it usually means that they are uncomfortable. So you need to adjust that. I know I'm rambling and I'm giving a lot of information about breastfeeding here in a vlog, which I didn't really want to do, but I want to get this out now because who knows when I'm finally gonna film that breastfeeding video. I want to wait until she and I have like a really good routine established before I do that. But I do plan on doing it. We have a really good schedule going right now. We have stuck to our schedule 100%. We've kept my son on his schedule 100%. I highly recommend, if you're a mom, put your child on a schedule. And that's not to say it has to be this schedule every single day, but get your kid used to doing like sequences, I should say. Get them used to, okay, when bath time happens, after bath time you have whatever time, and then after that it's bedtime or whatever it is. Like, having him on like a routine and on a schedule and keeping him on it has made things so much easier because we have so much time while he naps and while he sleeps. We can focus in on my daughter and get her situated, and then she's starting a schedule, and then once like she's in her little schedule, it's like more sleep's gonna happen. And it's just like, having this routine and schedule has just like really helped us. Like, I don't even feel like a newborn mom or a newborn parent because things have been pretty decent. I've been sleeping okay. I do okay getting up once or twice in the middle of the night, and that's really all it's been. I think I get up like maybe 2 or 3 times at night, but it's like quick. And now I'm nursing in bed, so like I'm laying down, so I still feel like I'm resting. I just feel good. I don't feel like a newborn mom right now. And it could be because she's so young and she's so little. Maybe once, you know, next week hits or a couple weeks hit, it'll be different when she needs more milk and all that stuff. Maybe it will be different, but for now it's okay. So that's really cool. So we've had a really good day. So we're gonna have some Outback, and then we will talk with you guys later. I'm so excited. I'm so happy.